I'm standing at the birthplace of one of America's best-known folk heroes, Davy Crockett, born here in the heart of Tennessee in 1786 in this little house right here behind me. On this week's show, I'm going in quest of the American wild turkey. And this is going to be a really different episode because we're going to be using hunting tactics to get close to these birds. We're going to take you on a journey through the Appalachian Range in Tennessee, one of the eastern wild turkey strongholds. Let's go birding.
They will hurt you.
Well, this looks like it's going to be quite a challenge. That's plain nuts.
The American wild turkey is an iconic American bird. This is a bird which Benjamin Franklin actually wanted to make the national bird. He looked at the bald eagle and he said words like the bald eagle is a coward, and he thought it would be fitting to have a courageous bird like the wild turkey as the national bird at the time. And you can really see why. These are such majestic birds, such majestic animals. We're very fortunate to have good numbers of them back, rebounding again in North America.
There are few birds as emblematic of American history and culture as the wild turkey. But this phenomenal bird could well have gone the way of the passenger pigeon and the Carolina parakeet. Renowned ornithologist and author Arthur Bent perhaps summed this up best when he wrote, "When the noble red man roamed and hunted unrestrained throughout the virgin forests of eastern North America, this magnificent bird, the wild turkey, also enjoyed the freedom of the forests from Maine and Ontario, southward and westward. But the coming of the white man to our shores spelled the beginning of the end for both of these picturesque Americans. The forests disappeared before the white man's axe. His crude firearms waged warfare on the native game, and the red man was gradually eliminated before advancing civilization. Today, thankfully, wild turkey numbers have rebounded, and I want to gain some valuable insights on the status of this uniquely American bird. I want to get up close and personal with wild turkeys, but in order to do this, I need to gather advice from an unlikely but logical source: turkey hunters.
First of all, we have 6 subspecies of wild turkey. Starting in Central America, you got the ocellated, then moving north into Mexico, you have the ghouls. Within the United States, you have the eastern, the Osceola, which is basically from Jacksonville, Florida, south. You have the Merriams, and then you have the Rio Grandes, and those birds are found out west. Each subspecies has adapted itself to its terrain and its habitat. Most turkeys, but especially the easterns, about 6 times faster than you are. He can cover 100 yards in less than 4 seconds if he's in a dead run. He can fly about 50 miles an hour, and he's there in the second beat. He's got 6 power vision. He assimilates what he sees 6 times faster than you do. You can't outdraw one. They're very fast, very fast. His defenses are his eyesight, his hearing, his quickness, his alertness. He's scared of everything in the woods that moves. Everything is there to eat him. So he is very cautious and very slow as he moves through the woods until something scares him, and then he's very quick to evacuate. He asks no questions. A deer sometimes will try to stare you down. A turkey will not do that. He's gone. No questions asked. History.
This Birding Adventures episode is powered by Nikon, the world leader in optics since 1917. and sponsored in part by the National Wild Turkey Federation. So what we're doing here is Tony is showing me how we're going to set up the decoys in the best position. We're probably going to have one hen, maybe two hens, and then we're going to have a jake, and these are going to lure the turkeys in. So my best position is going to be get my leafy suit on, get my concealment wear, and then to position myself probably something like this, right? Where we've got a hen there, got the jake here, and hopefully he's going to go brush up against the hen like you said.
Yes.
And then make his way here and face off against this jake over here. I'm going to be lying in full concealment wear next to the decoys, waiting for turkeys to come in. All this time lying around in the grass got me thinking, what would happen if they came close enough for me to grab one with my bare hands? A male gobbler is not a bird to be trifled with.
You take a 22, 23 pound gobbler, it's like trying to tangle with a 200 pound man. He's pretty tough. He's gonna handle you. So when you get a hold of him, you're gonna have to hold on for dear life.
This is what I'm up against. Razor sharp, and they're not afraid to use them.
So I would be aware of a big long beard comes walking in there, say 10-inch beard comes walking in, he's going to have at least inch spurs on him, and they're going to cut you.
You asked Bob, what was it that you needed to know before you did this? And my response to that would be, where's the closest medical facility?
Once you got a hold of it, you better have 911 on the way, because he is going to wear you out.
Okay, probably a good idea to keep my hands to myself. It's early morning in northeastern Tennessee, and we're in the Appalachian Mountains, and we're going out this morning trying to get to grips with some of these eastern wild turkeys that live around here, and hopefully we're going to have some luck getting up close and personal with the eastern wild turkey. I tell you, there's been a few times in my life when I've been as cold as this. And it's probably only, 40 degrees, but you're lying out here, right on the grass like this, freezing cold, for hours. And after about 2 hours, I guess, we had a whole group come in. They didn't come into the jake decoy, but we had a hen come right within 5 feet of me, right to this decoy over here. And she came and she looked at that decoy. She kind of almost like pecked at it. She made a little motion at it. And then she kind of stuck her head through. She was looking at what I was. And she was looking right in my eyes. Right straight in my eyes. That was pretty neat to see. But the best thing about this morning was being able to just show how incredible this concealment gear is. I mean, turkeys have such great senses. So to be able to get so close to these turkeys was just a phenomenal experience. But the high point was seeing a very, very rare white hen. So this is a leucistic bird. That is super, super rare to see. So absolutely amazing to be out here in the middle of these foothills of the Appalachian Mountains and just have turkeys all around you here lying in the grass. It was cold, but it was way worth it. This Birding Adventures episode is powered by Nikon, the world leader in optics since 1917, and by Hobie Mirage Drive Kayaks. Enjoy nature effortlessly. And sponsored in part by Cloak, your leader in nature concealment wear. Now I've got close to the hens using decoys, but I really want a massive gobbler to come close. I need to beef up my strategy to lure the big males in, and there's no better person to advise me than the likes of Tom Stuckey, world champion turkey caller.
turkeys have different sounds: yelp, cluck, purr, gobble. They take 7 or 8 different sounds and they can make sentences.
So this is a yelp? No?
It's okay. It's excellent practice.
Turkeys have a language, and everything that a turkey says means something. We're going to get serious here. We're going to talk turkey.
Most of us birders have heard about birding by ear, listening for birds and then going out and finding them in the woods. But guess what? You can also bird by voice. And I'm here with Tom Stuckey, who just happens to be a world champion turkey caller. Tom, great to meet you.
Real pleasure.
How do you become a world champion turkey caller?
Well, there's judges, and if you bribe those judges really good, you win. But no, not really. It takes a lot of practice. It takes a lot of time being out in the woods and observing the birds and listening to them produce those sounds. And then we try to reproduce those with different types of calls that we have. And it takes a lot of practice. And it's a lot of fun too.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about the language of turkeys, because turkeys have an actual language. They have different types of calls. Can you go through or run through the different calls that they have?
Yeah, they do have a different series of calls they make, and each one means something to the bird itself. And they talk to each other as they progress through the woods on their daily routine. It's not a complicated language, but it's something that if you realize how important the emphasis of each call means to them. The same sound of might be a soft call that they do with very feeding and walking through the woods, but that same sound with a little more urgency could be an alarm call to watch out. There's a predator in the area, could be a hawk, an eagle, or something coming after them. So it's very important for them to communicate. It's also very important for those that's wanting to observe wild turkeys to communicate, to get them up close so they can see them. What we have here is several different types of calls. My favorite is the diaphragm call because turkeys have tremendous eyesight and they pick up on movement. So if you keep this in your mouth and make the sounds of a wild turkey yelping, for example, this is probably the most common call a wild turkey will make. Sounds something like this. It takes very little movement because it's in your mouth. But you know, you can do that with this type of call. This is called a box call. Pretty simple, isn't it? And you know what? You have something in your hand, and I know you haven't done this much. This is called a slate call. So I want you to put that striker right on there and just draw me little circles on there. Push down a little harder. There you go. And you know what? If you do that, it sounds like a hen. That old gobbler will go, he'll gobble back at it. And so now you can really have some fun. You can call that gobbler in looking for that hen. You'll see him come in strutting and carrying on. And he'll be gobbling, looking for that hen. It's a lot of fun.
It's time to put my newly gained turkey call knowledge to the test. Along with my concealment wear and the decoys, I hope to lure in some gobblers with the only turkey call I'm able to master, the scratch call. That's me lying in the grass as the turkeys approach the decoys. I've got to be really careful when I make the call, so as not to let them see me move an inch. This is the critical time. I have my GoPro camera running to record their approach. Oh man, that was so close. I had a whole lot of them come in. 3 big gobblers. There were some jakes around too. One gobbler gobbled right over my head. I mean, they were literally feet from me. Our closest bet was really this morning, man. We had them right around me. Just beautiful out here. We've got all these dogwood trees in flower with their white blooms and these red bud trees with their beautiful purple flowers around us in the forest. And we're just on a freshly mown field here, which is a game field just on the outskirts of the woods. And there's turkeys everywhere, but boy, trying to get them to come in, that's a different story. This Birding Adventures episode is powered by Nikon, the world leader in optics since 1917, and sponsored in part by Cloak, your leader in nature concealment wear. My experiences being within feet of wild turkeys have been nothing short of exhilarating. Now I want to take a step back and view them from a distance as they come into roost. A time when wild turkeys are at their most weary. We've got all three of these gobblers running down the hill, long beards, and they've just flown up into the trees now to roost. This is where they'll spend the night, far away from predators. There's lots of bobcat, coyotes around here that'll prey on these turkeys, so they'll seek their safety up at the top of the trees, and in the morning, at first light, they're going to fly down again from the roost site. Absolutely awesome to see three of those massive gobblers right at the top of the trees here. Unfortunately, in recent years, wild turkeys have again experienced a decline off their most recent historic highs, and the primary cause of this is habitat loss. Currently, wild turkeys are declining in many states, from Pennsylvania and New York in the east to Texas and South Dakota further west. Recent scientific studies show that we lose 6,000 acres of wildlife habitat every day. That's an area the size of Yellowstone National Park every year. These frightening trends can be reversed through proper management of our fields and forests, and by supporting conservation organizations like the National Wild Turkey Federation.
NWTF started in 1973. There was about 1.7 million turkeys in 1973, and now there's about 7 million turkeys. So the NWTF has done their job in the catch and release and reintroducing turkeys where they were basically lost, and now we've got flourishing numbers of turkeys.
We all live under the same roof, and whatever you do for wild turkey will help a redbird or a bluebird or a sparrow or a crow or deer or any other wildlife. So, there again, the habitat is there not just for the wild turkey, but it's for all wildlife, and that is the side benefit to what we do.
Most people who are active hunters and have been engaged in conservation are people who, quite frankly, it's a lifestyle where they enjoy the outdoors. They are also bird watchers. We know that from all the survey data. They're people who like to do habitat restoration, and their revenue, the money that they spend for hunting and outdoor recreation is back invested. That's the model we use in the United States. And so it's the license money and the excise tax that comes off sporting arms, ammunition, that really help fund a lot of the land base that we use to manage wildlife and the programs.
Hunters actually fund 80% of the wildlife agencies, state wildlife agencies. They pay for 80% of their income they make off of hunters. So if it wasn't for hunters buying license and tags, you wouldn't have these state wildlife agencies to protect the animals.
I think we've got to be careful as bird watchers and as people that love the outdoors not to be so quick to judge hunting, because there's a lot of valuable funding that goes towards the restoration of habitat all across North America.
I want my little girl to be able to see this and enjoy this. That's why that I'm a member of the NWTF and Ducks Unlimited and hunting organizations to protect this, because I want my daughter and her kids and all these other kids to grow up and have this wildlife to enjoy. We all need to come together as hunters, non-hunters. Everyone needs to band in together and realize that we're all in it to conserve these animals.
We need to focus on those youth. So not only if we save the habitat, they can continue to save it and save our wildlife for future generations.
For individuals who'd like to be involved in efforts like the restoration of the wild turkey, we would love to have them join the NWTF. It's one way that people can give back, not only through their membership fees in terms of contributing to it, but also to be a volunteer for us. We can use volunteers all the time on our habitat work, as well as our recruitment, retention, and our mentorship of people in the outdoors.
There you go. A little bit of practice. That's close. Don't throw up on me now. We're okay.
Like that?